I think that it's possible that Bitcoin Core is trying to give institutions control over Bitcoin. And in this video, I want to explain what exactly I mean by this. Let's get started. I recently came across this post from Mr. Hoddle. He says here the plebs thought they were important to Bitcoin. Luke is taking full advantage of the ignorance. And there are a few comments under this post that really made me think about how important this issue really is. So let's see who Luke is, first of all. So Luke is a core developer. He's working to create an implementation of Bitcoin called Bitcoin Knots. It has filters, while Bitcoin Core has started to remove filters. I know that there's a lot more to the discussion other than just filters, but I think this post really highlighted what the true issue here is. The true issue here is that the people who run nodes are the ones who enforce the network. I think that Bitcoin Core is trying to hand that control off to the miners. I think that they're trying to work with miners to make a short term profit, to make Bitcoin almost like a database so that these institutions can make more profits from mining. I know that my thoughts, they're kind of strayed very far from where this post is, but some of the comments that this person left under the initial post as responses to other people are very questionable to me. So you can see here, can you give me your take on why core changes are needed? The case has not been well made. So this person here says, because they want to change it and you can't do a damn thing about it other than ignoring the change. Welcome to Bitcoin. This is gaslighting. I think this is the main problem here. This makes me believe that Bitcoin Core's focus is not people who run nodes. Their focus is making a profit, maybe potentially giving Bitcoin up to an institution or creating things on Bitcoin that could potentially lead to it not working the way that it's supposed to. So the people who want Bitcoin Core to have filters, so the side of Bitcoin Knots, they're essentially saying that Bitcoin should only be used as money. And the people on the other side of the argument with Bitcoin Core are saying that Bitcoin is just a database and it can be used for anything. It can be used to store pictures, and we need to change Bitcoin over time. We need it to evolve over time in order to make it so that miners continue to mine and provide security to the network. To me, this feels like they're saying that the miners are more important to Bitcoin than the nodes. There are a lot of people that say that economic nodes are the only ones that matter. So you can see here, economic nodes represent the economic platforms where Bitcoin is traded and its price established in fiat terms. Nodes running conflicting rules with them or making transactions that will not be recognized as valuable by their nodes, to be more specific, now cannot engage in that market. And this term is used to say that only economic nodes are important. And to me, as somebody who may not have the level of understanding of Bitcoin code and coding in general, this sounds like they're trying to hand control over to exchanges. It sounds like they're trying to give control over to the industrial miners that will change Bitcoin to their will. And they'll use Bitcoin to make a profit, and they won't allow it to be used as just money. And in the short term, this may seem like a very small change. And this post from Mr. Hoddle here is very, very irresponsible because he's trusted in this industry. 70.9K followers, 71,000 followers. He's saying they want to change it and you can't do a damn thing about it other than ignoring the change. Welcome to Bitcoin. He's saying that you have to follow what they say. And that's not what Bitcoin is about. Bitcoin is about having a certain set of rules and ensuring that every single transaction on the Bitcoin network follows that rule. If we can change small things today, how do we know that Bitcoin Core won't change the supply at some point? How do we know that if we just follow everything they say, how do we know that they're actually working in Bitcoin's favor rather than working against it? And there are some responses here that show you the opposite side of this. So there are people here saying, incredibly weak argument. You can do something about an unpopular change, which is running a different implementation. We are seeing this play out now. By removing filters, Bitcoin Core may be opening the floodgates to spam in the future. And what this is going to do is it's going to make it more and more expensive to run a node on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just supposed to be the global financial layer for transactions, and anything else on Bitcoin, if it's a picture, if it's some kind of art, whatever it could be, it's spam because it's not transactional data. It's not somebody moving value from one person to another. If you're using Bitcoin as something other than a medium of exchange, a unit of account, or a store of value, I would personally consider that your transaction is spam. And we can see another comment here that mentions the 21 million cap. Reality is it's not the unchangeable rock that I told it was. First, JPEGs attacks on other BTC nodes. Next, goodbye 21 million cap. So what this person seems to be trying to say here is that Wall Street is trying to Trojan horse Bitcoin. They're trying to find their way into Bitcoin through potentially Bitcoin Core so that they can turn it into the same kind of profit machine that the stock market is. And they can take more control over it. People can't confirm transactions on their own. They have to rely on an institution to confirm transactions for them. And we go right back to the banking system that we had before. Because filters reduce the size of Bitcoin, if nobody's running nodes because of no filters, because the blockchain is so massive that it's not even worth running a node, we can easily say goodbye to the 21 million cap because nobody's confirming what the total supply of Bitcoin is other than these institutions. And these institutions are, of course, going to work together. From what I understand, this is the concept that when somebody named Bitcoin Mechanic, when if you look through his posts, this is what he talks about. If you listen to his videos, you're going to see that I think, at least this is the interpretation that I have, I think that they're trying to take Bitcoin into this direction where Wall Street firms benefit from Bitcoin. They can mine as much Bitcoin as they want to, and regular people can't. Wall Street firms are the ones who run nodes, and regular people have to pay them a fee to potentially have their transaction confirmed. Because Bitcoin is based on consensus and now Wall Street is infiltrating Bitcoin and they're buying as much Bitcoin as they can, how do we know that they're not going to cancel people's wallets? How do we know that they're not going to blacklist or whitelist certain Bitcoin and just remove it from the blockchain at some point in the future? How do we know that this isn't the first domino to fall that leads to that at some point in the future? We don't know that. And you can see here another person said, false, you can run a different node implementation if enough people do it. Eventually, changes done in any one implementation alone won't make a difference. And this website here, clarkmoody.com, shows you how many people are running which implementation of Bitcoin. Over time, this number for knots is just going up. And it's been continuously going up for the last few months. In November of 2024, Bitcoin knots only had 311 nodes, while today there are 4,100. In the same time, the number of nodes running Bitcoin Core went from 18,760 to 19,110. So over time, Bitcoin knots went from like 0% of the network all the way up to 17.95%. You can see that here. And this website is coin.dance/nodes, coin.dance/nodes. You can go to this website and you can see what exactly is happening with this, and you can track the progress over time. I think that the number of nodes is going to continue to increase, and I think that core nodes are going to continue to decrease as a proportion of the total number of nodes on the network. I think that Bitcoin is resilient. I don't think that this will kill Bitcoin. I think that Bitcoin will survive through this because there are enough good actors that will continue to do what's right, and they'll continue to run nodes, and they'll continue to make sure that the network can't be compromised. What you have to do is do a little bit more research on this. Try to learn a little bit more. Try to see what the consequences of running Bitcoin Core could be in the future versus Bitcoin knots. What would happen if the filters are removed? What would happen if institutions take over Bitcoin? Will Bitcoin's 21 million supply cap remain? Will they allow the people who own Bitcoin today to retain their wealth? I don't think that they will. I think that if institutions take over Bitcoin, they're going to dilute your wealth. They're going to increase the supply of Bitcoin. There are people already suggesting this. People like Peter Todd, who have a lot of influence on Bitcoin's code and the developers, say things like increasing the supply won't be inflationary. They're doing whatever they can to make it seem normal to you that the supply will eventually increase and that it will have to increase. They're not allowing the world to go through Bitcoin's adoption. I also recommend that you check out Matthew Cratter's channel, Bitcoin University. He gives his opinion on this and it's extremely valuable. I learned a lot from him. I also recommend that you check out Bitcoin Mechanic on YouTube. He's giving some pretty great insights on this. Once you do some more research on this, I highly recommend that you run a node, whether you want to run Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin Knots. I think that Bitcoin Knots may be better, but you can go to Bitcoin Not Crypto's channel where he has an entire playlist on how to run a node. Like I said before, I think Bitcoin is going to get through this. I don't think institutions are going to be able to hijack Bitcoin. I don't think they're going to be able to take control over Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to continue being sovereign money. I think that the best thing they can do here is continue stacking Bitcoin, run a node, keep your Bitcoin safe, all of the things that are required for you to make sure that you maintain control over your Bitcoin in the future. The plebs are going to prove Mr. Hodl wrong. I think the world is going to change from Bitcoin Core as the main implementation of Bitcoin with something like 85% of total nodes to Bitcoin knots. I don't think Bitcoin is going to die. I think that the natural progression is going to be towards Bitcoin knots. And if you want to contribute to that, you should run a node.